I grew up in a Christian family. I remember I was getting into these little fights. I was a bad influence, doing stupid stuff, being a bad kid, getting in trouble. I was stealing. Me and my family, we just lost our apartment. We just lost our car. It was just really, really depressing. Loneliness was like a nightmare for me. They're laughing at me. They're bullying me. They're saying, get out of here. I feel like there was no point in living at all. And at this point, I got super desperate. I was filling my hole with the worst things, and that is where it brought me to drugs. I didn't want my mom catching me or see what I've turned into. I was doing everything possible to get accepted, to be popular. I was losing myself. I did everything. I had this complete mental breakdown. I stopped going to school. I was failing so many classes. I came out of my freshman year with a 1.6 GPA. I didn't care about God. I didn't know who this guy was. I thought it was just some other thing from religion. I had this ignorant thinking, but then he saw me anyways, crying in that bathroom, and he decided to love me. I never thought in a million years that I would be sitting at a camera and telling people about my story. What's up, you guys, and welcome to the channel. For those who don't know me, if you didn't come from my TikTok or my Instagram, my name is Elise Foster, and I go by Elise Bell for short. And today I just wanted to share my testimony. God has been showing me how moving my story is and how it's helping people, and what better is to use this platform to boost out his glory and how good he is to others. So I just want this to be an inspiration for others to just share what they know about God and share their story with others, and you never know who you can help. I just want you guys to just relate to my story so you can just kind of connect yourself to see how powerful God is and how he can make a way for anything. Us as humans, we doubt a lot. We have anxiety. We want to fill this void that we have in us. And that is what my story is. My whole story is built on me being empty inside. Me trying to chase this sense of fulfillment, trying to just feel better about myself, me hating myself, and just maybe if this person likes me, or if I get this thing, then I will feel better about myself. I just want to show you that the real missing piece is God. I will do a separate video on feeling emptiness and all of that another time, but right now I just want to share my testimony. So, starting off with my childhood, I was around a lot of bad influences, and that influenced me to be like the kid that I was at that time. I was around a lot of bad influences, and then I ended up turning into the bad influence. I grew up in a Christian family, like a big Christian family. My parents are divorced, so my mom is, the religious one, and my dad, he's not religious at all. My parents being divorced, I lived with my mom all my life. That just exposed me to what Christianity is. We moved to North Carolina in 2013, which is where I live now at the moment. We went to Elevation Church for about 6 years. At the beginning, when I was just like a little kid, my mom, she would drop me off at the children's ministry there, and it was like Sunday school, while my mom would go to the sanctuary and she would get the big message. And then around 4th grade, I started going to the sanctuary along with her. That really exposed me to everything. Like, I saw what worship looked like, I saw baptisms, I saw what helping out in a community looks like, and altar calls. And at the altar calls, I remember I would always raise my hand, and I didn't know what it meant. I did it because it made my mom happy. I remember, like, every time I'd raise my hand, she'd have like a smile on her face. I wanted to do it because, oh well, if my mom is like smiling over this, then I guess I'll keep doing this. And I did this consistently, and in return they would give you like an orange Bible, which I have now at the moment. It wasn't filled like this before. This was empty. I had so many of these, and I just had them collecting dust in my home. I never opened them. I never used them. I didn't get what Christianity was. I didn't get who God was. It was just all this complicated topic to me, and I just didn't bother to grasp it. That clearly had major consequences on my life. But underneath the church life, I was living a life of sin. At a young age, Like I was saying, I was a bad influence. I was doing stupid stuff, being a bad kid, getting in trouble, I remember I was getting into these little fights. I was a tomboy, I was rough, I was all this stuff. I was stealing. I was just a really bad kid. And the thing is, me living with my mom, I wasn't living in like the hood or anything like that. I was living in a relatively good area. It's just the people I was around that just corrupted my character and corrupted my mind and corrupted everything about me, which made me into the person that I was once I grew up. Fast forward a couple years later, during COVID, that is when my life really just like went downhill from there. I had a lot of depression. Me and my family, we were just going through this rough time. We just lost our apartment, we just lost our car. I had to live with my aunt. It was just really depressing. I was just in the house all day. I had no friends. I lost a sense of human connection, and that's really what the pinpoint was not having connection with people. And that led me to, forget how to interact and identity issues, I guess you can say. It's just completely forgot how to be with others. Social media was my way of escape from my reality. I couldn't bear to face my reality. I was just so depressed. I was so empty. I wouldn't even say my suicidal thoughts started then, but I was just really depressed and I just wanted to go back to school, but like at the same time I didn't because like school was weird. I remember I just wanted to make friends. So I was just super lonely. Due to me being bored and just empty, I just remember I was just trying to feel something. I wanted to feel some type of spark. And that is when I just started going to pornography. I started watching that around fifth, fourth grade. I was like 9 years old and I took a break from it, but like during this time I went back to it out of pure boredom, out of just trying to feel something. I felt a high before, but at the same time, afterwards, I just felt like this crash, and it's just like it was such an unbearable feeling. I hated the feeling. But I was so into deep, I couldn't stop it. That was basically my life, just staying in the house, being depressed. I gained some insecurities, having no friends, watching pornography, escaping my reality in social media. It was just everything was just, my world was crumbling down. During this time, my grandpa died. So I didn't talk to my grandpa in a while. So when I found out that he died, it was just devastating. It was so devastating, and his funeral sucked. It sucked knowing that he was gone and how everything was just breaking apart. And then that was just really the part where I felt like, I'm not a kid anymore. So yeah, COVID was a lot, and it just kind of changed my brain chemistry. It's just everything was different. But then a few months later, we ended up moving out of my aunt's house and we ended up moving to another house. And eighth grade, because eighth grade is when school started up back up for me, where everything was coming in person, we had to wear the mask and all that stuff. That is when that started. And let me tell you, that is when everything went downhill from there. COVID was like my depression started, but eighth grade is when I started having these major identity issues. So like I said, I wanted to feel this human connection. When I came back to school, that was my main goal, is to make friends, make friends, make friends, make friends. I was so excited to just reconnect from everyone from the past years, but the thing is, during COVID, I didn't keep in any contact with anyone that I used to know. So when I stepped into school, it really hit me that I had no one. And that is when I felt the first wash of loneliness. Like before COVID, I was in the house. I didn't interact with people. The only people I interacted with was my mom and my dad and my brother and my aunt and my cousins and all that stuff, but I didn't interact with anyone outside of my family. But it was lonely, but eighth grade is when the wash of loneliness really started. Having no one really broke me. It really did. And I just remember seeing everybody around me have their friends and their friend groups and all these things, and I didn't have anyone, and I was envious. I was very jealous of everyone having friends, and I'm just the lonely person just sitting isolated. No one cares to talk about me. No, everyone forgot about me. It was it was horrible, and that is when my fear of loneliness started. Then later in the week, because I remember I came home after that and I was crying. I was just like, everyone forgot about me. I felt very worthless. Later in the week, I remember this girl actually remembered me from my sixth grade year, and we were talking. We She was in my class, and we were catching up. How was your quarantine, all that. And she invited me to hang out with her at recess. We called it PA, but we went out to PA, and she said that yeah, you can hang out with me and my friends. So that's what I did, and her friends were these group of popular girls. They had everything. They had the popularity, they had the boys, they had the money, they had the looks, they had all this stuff. And I remember seeing them and I was just so intrigued by them. Like, wow. Like, they really look like they have it all together. And there was this one girl that I knew from my past years, but everyone else, I didn't know them. And it just, like, they seemed so cool to me. And I think you know where I'm getting at. I was chasing their validation for the longest time. But they weren't just popular girls, they were mean girls. I remember I wanted to be accepted by them so bad, but they never gave me the time of day. I tried everything to get them to like me. I would study them and try to see, like, what do they have that I don't? And I'm just empty here, and I'm just trying to fill this emptiness. And seeing what they have, the popularity, the boys, the all this stuff, I declared that that's what I needed to fill my void. And that put me in a dangerous position. Them not noticing me, I thought there was something wrong with me. So I started changing everything about myself. I changed my hair, I changed my clothes, I changed the way I talked, the way I walk, literally everything. I wanted to completely replicate them because I saw that they're happy. Like, on the surface, they look happy, but you never know what someone is going through. Just because they show you one side of them doesn't mean that they are actually that. But I did all these changes, all of it. I changed everything about myself, and still, these girls did not notice me. I was trying to figure out, like, I was going crazy. I was trying to figure out, why do these girls not see me? The thing is, they didn't see me, but when I changed, people were starting to notice me. Other people, not them. I wanted their validation, but other people started to notice me. I started to gain friends, and the thing is, these are people that didn't notice me before. They didn't notice me before my change. And once I changed, everyone's like wants to be friends with me. I'm starting to get guys to like me, and I'm starting to get attention. And I loved it. I loved the spotlight. So I used that as my opportunity to live this fake life of popularity. At PA, I literally had no one else to hang out with. I had no other friend group, so I would just follow them. I would follow those girls like this lost puppy because I was so afraid of being lonely. Loneliness was like a nightmare for me. A nightmare. Like, I'm not even joking. I would wake up in cold sweats because of I just didn't want to be lonely. Anything but that. That would mean having no self-esteem and just following them no matter how they treated me, no matter what they were talking about me, because I knew they were talking about me. I just didn't want to think about it. I lost all social cues. I didn't know how to interact with them. I was just quiet following them. Outside of that, the people that are now friends with me because of my look, I lived this fake life. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take advantage of that, and I'm gonna just pretend to be those girls. And it made me feel good, but I still felt empty. And the thing is, this wasn't truly me. I was having these identity issues. I completely lost myself. Like, completely. To the point where I forgot who I was before. I played this act for so long. It was like this game of dress up, this game of pretend. And it was so depressing. It was so depressing because I would live this fake life at school, and then I would go to PA and live my real life, deal with my actual reality, then get out of that, be popular again than come home and dread, just dread come over me, just be depressed. And this is when the suicidal thoughts were starting. I was like, who am I? What is the point? Life was starting to feel meaningless. I'm trying everything to be accepted. I feel like everything is not working. I'm being rejected by those girls. My life somehow just depended on them because I guess they were the first thing that I saw outside because I was in COVID and then I come back to school and then they were the first people that I saw. But then I remember because my school, they would switch the PAs. New Year's was starting, which means the new semester was starting. I was so scared that I wasn't going to have anyone to hang out with. But then I remember I came outside and I came out to PA and all the old friends from 6th grade were there. And they all accepted me. They welcomed me in open arms. They're like, Elise, oh my gosh, it's been so long. We reconnected. It felt amazing because I was so used to just following those girls around and all the stuff, and I was starting to get like genuine PTSD, and I just like the way that my friends from 6th grade, I mean, they would make fun of me, but it was just like, I didn't care because they were noticing me. Unlike those other girls, they didn't give me the time of day. They thought it was funny, they thought it was cool. They knew me before the change, and I thought I can be myself, so I started to get comfortable. And I thought, finally some friends that I can call home. Long story short, those girls ended up being friends with my friends. I remember they came in the PA, we were switching again, and as soon as those girls came, is my friends switched up on me. And just one day they just stopped liking me. They stopped talking to me. I would still follow them around, but I was trying to figure out what's going on. Like, one day they'll come back around, but they never did. They just those girls definitely said something to make them change towards me. Now, this is the second time that I got rejected by society. My friends weren't my friends anymore. They ended up bullying me, severely bullying me. And it was so bad to the point where I had suicidal thoughts, but it was to the fact where I actually wanted to take my life. I feel like there was no point in living at all. My friends clearly didn't want me to be there anymore, and everyone's always trying to focus on, trying to be popular and, get people to like them. So clearly they did that for that type of validation, but it was like, what about me? I've known you since 6th grade, and now you're switching up on me all of a sudden. I felt there was no point. I remember I was following them for months, trying to figure out why don't they like me anymore? Why aren't they talking to me? They're laughing at me, they're bullying me, they're saying get out of here, all this stuff, and they're treating me like a dog. It's like I wasn't a human to them. After a few months with dealing with their crap, something in me sparked where I got my confidence back, and I decided that I was going to switch friend groups. The friends that I had that I made from this character that I played, I used that, and I was scared of getting rejected, like, hey, can I hang out with you? And they're saying no, and then they unfriended me. That's what I was scared of. But I asked one of my friends, can I hang out with you? And she said yes, and I was so excited, and I eventually switched friend groups. That is when I hated those girls to the core. I hated those girls, but I had PTSD. Like, I had legit PTSD. Genuine day fears that someone is going to leave me like they did. Someone's going to reject me like they did. Someone is going to judge me the way that they did. I was so scared of these girls, but at the same time, I wanted to show them that I was a winner because they've made me feel like a loser for so long. I was creating that to be my life goal. And once I switched friend groups, I was willing to do anything to become popular. And I already changed my appearance, and this is when I fully lost myself. Like, I completely, there was no going back. I forgot who Elise was. The suicidal thoughts, they were going down, but my friendships, they were unhealthy. At least from my perspective. Because I grew very clingy. I was willing to accommodate to all their needs, all my friends' needs, because I didn't want them to leave me. I got my friend group, I got what I wanted, I'm friends with the popular girls. Finally. And they were even friends with the girls, so it just felt like a win is a win. But at the same time, I was losing myself. I was very clingy. There was this one girl where I was friends with her. I was like best friends with her, and I would always ask her, "Are you mad at me? Are you mad at me? Are you mad at me?" Because it was this fear that if I do one wrong thing, if I slip up once, because I could not pinpoint what those girls didn't like about me, so I questioned everything. Everything I did, everything I said, I would question. Okay, well, what does she think of that? Or even if vice versa, if that girl, she gave me like the wrong look, or not even something that's not that deep, I made it deeper because again, I was afraid of losing her. I did not even know what a friend was because my friends just kept rejecting me and rejecting me and rejecting me. So I felt like I won, but at the same time, I was losing a lot of myself. But I still wanted more. I wanted to be friends with everybody. I wanted to show those girls so hard who I am. I want to show them that I am cool. That was what I was trying to do. So then I had this guy friend, and his girlfriend was my best friend. And this guy, he introduced me to vaping. He introduced me to nicotine. At first, I was doing it to feel cool and be cool because all the kids were doing it at the time. I ended up getting addicted to it because I wanted to, again, try to fill my emptiness that I had inside of me. And I did it a lot. Like, I would go to the bathroom for 10, 15 minutes on end, just puffing because I was trying to feel something. That was another addiction of mine. Like, had all these addictions, but nothing was helping. It was just putting a band-aid on a bullet hole. I was still bleeding no matter how much I tried to cover my hole. All this brokenness was just oozing out. Anything that I did, it didn't matter. Yeah, I was doing everything possible to get accepted, to be popular, because popularity, I thought that is what I needed to fill my void. That's all I needed. But with the friends that I had, the friend group that I found, they didn't like me for me. They liked me for the fake version of me. Because again, when I was that version of myself before I changed, no one looked my way. No one. It was all personality. And then when I changed my looks, it's all looks and then personality. Which is crazy how cruel humans are and how we just look at appearance more than who the person actually is. I didn't care as long as I'm getting accepted. But that friend group that I had, that I thought, oh, I made it. I finally got what I wanted. Over the summer, they ghosted me. I remember I was planning because I barely hung out with my friends outside of school. And I was planning something to hang out with them outside of school, and they ghosted me. They made an excuse why they couldn't come, and they didn't talk to me after that situation. So that was like the third, fourth time that year that I got rejected by society. I didn't know. I was tired of blaming stuff on people. I was trying to blame stuff on people, but the thing is, I started blaming it on me. I did everything. I really did everything, which shows that how much work you have to do to get someone to like you. Whether God, He just loves you for you. I was working like a dog, trying to get people to love me just to get rejected for the fourth time. And during that summer of 2022, I was done. I hated myself. I could not stand who I was. I hated the person in the mirror that I saw every single day. I hated my body. I hated my face. I hated everything about me. That whole summer, I slept all day. I remember I couldn't stand seeing the sun because it reminded me how worthless my life was. I hated that. So I slept all day and I cried all night because I could not go to sleep at night because I was sleeping all day. And at night, the only thing that I had left, I didn't have my vaping, I couldn't do it at home because I didn't want my mom catching me or see how what I've turned into. I knew inside that I was turning into something bad, but I didn't want her to see that. So at night, the only thing I had left was pornography. I kept going to it because lust was the only thing I got close to love. I was chasing love from people, didn't work. The only thing I could try to fill this love hole that I had was lust. So that's the only thing I had, and I would watch it every single night, ruining my brain chemistry, ruining my brain cells, ruining me even more. I'm in a deeper ditch than I was before, punishing myself for not being lovable. I was just punishing myself. But then at the ending of the summer, when I was about to start high school, and I thought high school was going to be this big grand thing, I had to make it count. I gotta make the last of it. I gotta make all these friends. I gotta party all day and do all this stuff. And me as a senior now, it makes me laugh of how serious I thought high school was gonna be when it really wasn't all that. Towards the ending of the summer, I thought of this revenge plot. And my revenge plot was, as soon as I get back to school, I am doing anything possible to get popular. Anything. I don't care what it takes. If I gotta step on people's feet, if I gotta nearly risk my life, I will become popular. I will get rid of this emptiness. And I will show those who look down on me, those who rejected me, who is boss, that I'm above them and they are beneath me. Now you see how disgusting that mindset is, but that is what I was thinking. I became very selfish. And as soon as freshman year started, I became very cold to protect myself. Very cold. I was very mean. I wasn't really known before for being mean, but I became mean. I became cold. I became hateful. I became all these things. I was not trying to make myself vulnerable so I can get hurt by someone again. Because I've got hurt so many times by people, I was not risking to get hurt again. This cold version of myself got me friends. People didn't run over me anymore. Some people did. I did still get bullied, but it wasn't as extreme as 8th grade. But people didn't really run over me anymore, and this side of me was working. I was acquiring friends. I ended up getting this certain level of popular. I wasn't extremely popular, but I was well known. And that is all I wanted. I wanted that so bad. And I got those girls to notice me. I got everyone who rejected me before to notice me. And that is what I wanted. That is what I wanted all along. I got every single thing that I was planning over the summer. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna get this person to see me, and I'm gonna be like this, and I'm gonna get these types of friends, and all that stuff. I got it. I got it. But despite all of that, I still felt empty. All those months, and it was a year, more than a year at this point, of wanting to become popular like those girls, and I got that, I still felt empty. And at this point, I got super desperate. I was filling my hole with the worst things, and that is where it brought me to drugs. Before, I had a nicotine addiction. I got all these addictions, and then now, I remember my friend one day, we wanted to know how it felt to get high. And worst decision, one of the worst decisions I've ever made. She had a friend who had connections, who had drugs, who had edibles, and I started getting addicted. I remember the first time I took it, and then after that time, it made me feel numb to the world because I was so tired of feeling the world and feeling like the world was happening to me, but now I felt like I was happening to the world. Like I was on top of the world, not the world on top of me. I took it straight for 3 weeks. I loved the feeling it was giving me. It made me numb. Every time I was at school towards the ending of the day, I would take it. And I would always be careful not to take it, during when I got home because I didn't want my mom. My mom would kill me if she found out that I was taking these drugs. But then one day this was the last time that I took edibles, and it was the worst trip you could imagine. I was having a horrible day, and I remember, my friend's friend, who was aka my dealer, she said she got these new edibles. I was asking for more. She would give it to me for free because I was friends with her friend. She said that these are different edibles, which means the milligrams were higher. And she gave me all these warnings and I ignored them. She was like, "Oh, you gotta be careful, the higher dosage, they kick in slower." Da, da, da. I was ignoring all that. I remember I just wanted to get rid of the bad day I was having. People were being annoying that day, and I was just like, I really just don't want to deal with people right now. I just want to be high. So I took them, ignoring all the warnings she gave me. I took them, and I popped one, and I remember I wanted the feeling to kick in right away, and I totally forgot she said that it was going to kick in slower. I took it, and then I waited a little bit, and waited, and I was just really getting impatient. Why I want this feeling to go away. Why am I not high yet? Why am I not high yet? And then I took another one. Cause she said take a smaller, there were these little gum like things, and you kinda have to like take bits of it off. And she said to take a smaller bit than what I would usually take because they were a higher dosage. I didn't care. I took a big wad of it and but I remember I was in my fourth block and I still didn't feel anything. And now I was just like, maybe these aren't good. Maybe these are expired or something. Maybe these are just bad drugs. So, completely forgetting about me taking it, as soon as I got on the bus, I remember this feeling kicked in to me. At first, I thought I was having another anxiety moment. Blood was rushing and all this stuff. And then it started to get concerning. But as soon as I got off the bus and I walked home, because I remember the feeling was increasing, I remember hearing a voice, it was God, but I didn't know at the time. I remember hearing a voice saying, record. Just record yourself. I remember hitting the recording button while I was walking down to my house. And as soon as I got into my house, the feeling kicked me. And it hit me that I was high. And again, like I said, I totally forgot that I took them before. So I became paralyzed. I remember at first I stared at the ground for 20 minutes and I was recording myself doing this. And then eventually my hands were giving up. I struggled to end the recording button. And I ended it. But now I just have my phone. I turned off my phone. I put it on my dining table. And then I remember after that, I fell to the floor. And I was on the floor for, I don't even know. I can't even remember. But I was on the floor for a while. And I was struggling to get up. And while I was on the floor, I felt like my life was flashing before my eyes. Everything that I ever wanted, all the desires, they did not matter to me in that moment because I just wanted to know if I was going to be okay. I thought I was going to die. Like, call that a near death experience. I thought I was legit going to die. I was just on the cold, hard floor, staring at my ceiling, just thinking about life and thinking about everything and all the friends that I have. And I just wanted to get up, but at the same time, it was just really depressing. All the times that I've just wanted to just end it all, I never wanted to be alive more than that moment. Eventually, I got up. I remember my mom, she was upstairs and she was working from home, and I'm just downstairs just struggling. I felt like I was the only person in the world. I went into my bathroom. My hands were gripping the sink and I was just staring into the mirror. But eventually my mom, she had these breaks. So she came out on her work break and she was talking to me about, how her day was and all that stuff. And I did not listen to a word she said. I have little glimpse of what she said, but I was so out of it. And she thought, because I'm a weird kid, and usually I act like weird all the time, but she thought I was just being myself. But she kept asking me, Elise, what's wrong? Elise, what's wrong? Did a fight happen at school? And I was just like, no, I'm fine. Eventually, She went up, she went upstairs, she went back to work, and I was just empty. I was just sitting on the couch, just thinking about what just happened. I was just so out of it. But later in the evening, I remember it was winter and the sun was going down, and I was just on the couch, just in the dark, like having this euphoric moment, like this moment of euphoria from these drugs. And my brother, he came home from school because I got out at 2:15, and my brother, he got out at 4, so he came home at 5. And I told him, like, oh, what happened, and I'm high, and all this stuff. And I remember there's a look of worry on his face that I never want to see again. All the times that I've been depressed, and all the worry looks he's given me, that was one of the worst ones. I remember the next day I watched that video back that voice told me to record, and it was just me out of it. I deleted the video. I don't have access to the video because it was just so heartbreaking seeing myself in that state. And after I watched that video, I decided and I declared that I will never take drugs again. And that is when I went sober. That was my way of getting rid of the emptiness, but I could not go through that again because I legit thought I was like overdosing. I thought that was going to be the end of my life. Looking back on this now, the things that God has like got me through, like I could have died. I could have died. But God, he kept me here and said, "I'm not done with you yet." But I didn't know him yet. I didn't know him yet. So I thought, okay, well, I guess I'm living another day. But now, looking at this now, it's just like, that was a miracle. That was a miracle. After that day, I was, from me being such a hateful person and being cold and being this whole new side of myself, I was losing a lot of friends. I was losing a lot of people. It was so much. I was losing so many people at once. I couldn't even comprehend it. Because people were tired of my crap. They were tired of me just being such a jerk. I wish I can just go to them, the people that I've hurt, and just apologize to them for sucking. I was hurting so much inside, trying to fill my hole with drugs, trying to fill my hole with lust, trying to fill my hole with people pleasing. And the hurt inside was getting me to hurt people. And was that my intention? Little bit, yeah. When I was hurting people, it made me feel better about myself, which is proof that if you have someone in your life that is hurting you over and over again, pray for them. You never know what they are going through. They are dealing with something, I promise you, 9 times out of 10, they are dealing with something inside. So just pray for them. After I was losing everybody, I didn't want to go to school anymore. There was no point. Because every time I go to school, I didn't want to face my reality. My reality was just in my face that, hey, everybody hates you and you'll never be loved. I just keep getting rejected by people. And this time I was just being a jerk. But the other times, I don't even know the reasons for that. But God was trying to show me something. I stopped going to school. I had so many absences. I was failing so many classes. I was on the verge of failing so many classes, and I failed one. I came out of my freshman year with a 1.6 GPA. Every grade was slipping. Every grade was slipping. My mom was like, "What the heck is going on with you?" She was worried for me. There was this time in March where I had this complete mental breakdown. I was in bed and it was very late at night and I could not go to sleep. I had school the next day. I already had like 50 absences. I just was scrolling through social media trying to just ignore everything, and then it's just social media, it was making me feel crazy, and I was realizing how crazy I am, and all these people are leaving me, and just my life, I did not that night did not want to live anymore. I was planning to genuinely end it all and just end myself completely. So then I had my alarm because I would go on the bus for school at like 5:30, I think. I can't remember. 5, 6 o'clock. And my alarm was about to go off, and I still haven't gone to sleep. And I remember this feeling of, because I was just overthinking, this feeling of anxiety hit me, and I ended up having this rush in me, and it ended up being an anxiety attack. I was having this panic attack, whatever it was. And I've had things like this happen in the past during COVID, but this was the worst. And I didn't know what to do. And me and my brother, we shared a room, and I didn't want to wake him up and say, "Hey, I'm having a panic attack," because I felt ashamed of myself. I was in this cycle of shame. But then I something told me to just get up and go tell your brother what is going on with you. And I remember, because we had a bunk bed, I went down the stairs. I was on the top bunk, and I woke him up, and I was like, "Evan, I'm having a panic attack." And he was like, "What?" He was like in the middle, because he was sleeping, and he got up. He's like, "What? Oh my gosh!" And I was like breathing a lot, and I was just like out of breath almost. And my brother, he was like, oh my gosh!" And he went out the door, and he knocked on my mom's door and said, "Elise is having a panic attack." And when I heard that come from someone else's mouth, it's just like everything was hitting me. So I was so ashamed. I didn't want I did not want people to see that side of me. So my mom came out, and she was like, "What's going on?" And I ran out the room, and I remember I went to the bathroom, and I just sat on the cold hard floor, banging my head against the wall, trying to end my life. And I remember repeating to myself, I want to I want to I want to I want to. And my mom, the fear that came from her, she was like, "No, no, 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 no. That is the last thing that a mother or a parent wants to hear, is that their child wants to die." I was scaring the heck out of my mom and my brother. I was scaring them so much. But I was going through a lot, and no one saw it. I was keeping it in. And I thought, well, eventually I'm going to get popular. Eventually I'm going to get everyone to like me. And none of this will matter. It will all go away. Again, at the beginning of the year, I did get that, and I still felt empty. So none of that really mattered. None of it mattered. My mom, she got me up, and she put cold water on my neck, and she tried to calm me down as I was just breathing very heavy, and it calmed me down. And I remember I was like, "Mommy, I can't go to school. I can't go to school today." And she, because I've missed so many times, but it's just, and my mom would get mad at me every single time I said I don't want to go to school. And she was like, "You know what, it's fine." She didn't even fight me. She was just like, "It's fine." So then I just laid in her bed, and everything, I was questioning everything. And one of it was, why am I still alive? But after all that, I did some thinking, and I came to this conclusion that all this stuff was happening is because I'm not popular enough. Everyone hates me, I'm not loved enough. So if I get popular and I get everybody's approval back, then I will not feel this anymore, and my emptiness again will be filled. It was all about people pleasing, it was still selfish. It wasn't anything that I learned from that. I was still depressed, but I was also very confused. But then later in the year, I got the news that my family was moving, which meant that I was moving schools. And when I heard this news, I was devastated. I had this whole plan. I was constructing this whole plan to get people to like me. I had all these people, all this work back at my old school, and then now at this new school, I gotta start all over again, try to gain people's approval back with people who don't even know me. And I was just very mad. But then, after a few more days of thinking, I realized that I can completely start fresh at this new school. The people wouldn't know who I truly am as a person. I can basically change myself and no one would know the person I was before. So I gained comfort with that fact. And towards the ending of the year, I remember I barely said goodbye to the people I knew. I wanted to leave, you know. I just wanted to start fresh. I was focused on me and I thought they didn't really care because they hate me, they don't like me, so why would they care if I'm going to move schools? But little did I know that me moving was God opening up something bigger for my life. He had a plan from day one, and I had no idea. That brings me into summer 2023. And that summer is the summer that changed my life forever. That is the summer that I got saved by God. At the beginning of the summer, I was just locked on my goal, and that meant starting over at my new school. That meant changing my personality. That meant changing myself again, my clothes, my appearance, all the wrong things. And I remember that my mom, after that mental breakdown, she put me in therapy. And I was relatively doing good for myself, but I still felt empty. I was doing therapy, I was trying to help myself. I watched these videos on how to glow up and all this stuff, but I still felt empty inside. That summer, my grandma died, and I had the most life-changing talk that God used to open my eyes to how I actually am as a person. It was very devastating with my grandma dying. She had dementia and it really sucks seeing her slowly lose herself and lose these memories and forget basically what time it is and all this stuff. It was very sad to watch. But after the funeral, I remember my dad gave me this stern talking to about my behavior and how I've been treating people. And that right there was my wake up call. Before I was arrogant. I would not listen to what someone told me about myself. Like, oh, you need to change this, you need to change that. I would not listen to them at all. I still am stubborn, but not to that point where I was before. I was super stubborn though. I did not listen to anyone but myself. But that moment with my dad talking to me, I finally listened. I finally opened my ears and it made me realize of how I've been treating people. And it wasn't fun to deal with that I was, kind of a bad person, but it didn't really fully dawn on me on how horrible I am as a person. I was just realizing, okay, I've been treating people horribly. So then after that day, I declared that I was going to change the way that I treated people. I was no longer going to be cold to people. I was no longer going to be mean. I was going to try to soften up and be nicer to people, which really brought my people pleasing to a certain level because now I'm kind of back to accommodating to everybody's needs again, but at the same time I just didn't want to be a mean person. So I with that talk I was journaling like how to change. I wanted to change my harsh personality. I was still focused on getting people to like me. All this stuff though, the stuff that I was trying to, be better for myself, make goals, therapy, um, helping myself, all this stuff, it still wasn't working. I still felt empty. I just remember that summer, that half of that summer, I was still filling myself with these things for my void. But all of that led me to July 27, 2023, which is the exact date that I got saved. I remember that day I was so tired of feeling empty. I felt like I was doing everything. Not everything, because the only thing I needed was Jesus all along. But I felt like I was doing everything, but I still felt empty. And when I feel like I'm being backed in a corner by life, I would always resort to lust. Always. That's all I knew. All I knew was lust. I've known it since I was a kid. When I was 7 years old, I got assaulted. And ever since that event, it made me just resort to lust to everything. I got this perverted idea of what sex is by the devil, even though it is a gift from God between two married people. But I didn't think that. I thought it was this pleasuring thing. I'm supposed to get the pleasure. I don't really care about the other person. I care what they're giving me. That was lust. Or when I don't feel loved or when I don't feel comforted, I would resort to that. That was the only thing I felt like I had left. So that's what I did that day. But then I heard this voice as clear as a bell saying, stop, 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 stop. But I felt like I could not stop. I couldn't control myself anymore. Something else was controlling me. But the voice continues, stop, stop, stop. And finally, I broke what I was doing and I stopped. I stopped. And I remember pouring down tears. Why do I do these things? What am I doing with my life? Again, I've had so many moments like that. Just crying. But then that voice comforted me. I was supposed to feel ashamed, but that voice made me feel otherwise. Instead of shame I was getting love. I didn't know what it was until the voice identified itself, and it was God. I never really cared about God before. I didn't know who this guy was. I thought it was just some other thing from a religion. I knew there was a God, but I never bothered to think about it. I remember thinking that on the day that I die, I will just say I believe in Jesus and I will get into heaven. No repentance, no remorse. I would just say that and I would be on my way. That's it. I didn't care. I had this ignorant thinking. But otherwise, before I even die, I can just do whatever I wanted. I can hate people, I can have anger, I can lust after people, I can do all this stuff and have no consequence at all. I didn't care about God. And I certainly didn't love him. But then he saw me anyways, crying in that bathroom. Crying in my bathroom. And he decided to love me. Even though I didn't love him. He knew I had no one else. So he came to me. He loved me, showered me with so much love. I can't even describe that moment. It was so much feelings. I cannot describe it. The feelings were so complicated. That was the first time I encountered who God is. He's not just this guy or this man in the sky from a religion. He is an actual being who loves you. And he stayed with me in that bathroom. I was in that bathroom for 2 hours. He stayed with me the whole entire time. And he just comforted me through it all. And of course the devil hated that. And of course he was trying to get in my head. But God's voice was stronger. And I listened to every single word he had to say. And one of them was him offering me a new life. Now this life he was offering me didn't promise there wouldn't be any problems or troubles. He just offered himself, that he would comfort me through it all, that he would give me the strength, that he would bless me. So then after that day, I decided to give my life to him. I wanted to learn more about this guy. So the Bibles that I got from the altar calls, from me raising my hand years ago as a kid, I finally cracked it open. All the dust and cobwebs that were on it from me not even glancing at it, I finally opened it. No one forced me to open the Bible. No one forced me to be a Christian. No one forced me to give my life to Christ. It was just him. And how beautiful his love is and how beautiful it is to be in his presence that made me want to crack open a Bible finally. The whole rest of the summer, I was focused on getting closer to God. Of course, the devil would try. He would try to get me to doubt myself, try to get me to end it all the certain things that he does. He would try to deceive me. He would say God's not real, all this stuff. If you're dealing with these thoughts, I want you to know that it happens. But keep opening your word. Know that this is truth and he is lies. These are promises. Those are lies. The closer and closer that I got to God, it made me realize how horrible of a person I was. Oh my gosh, the feeling made me uncomfortable of how many people I've hurt. It was a lot. It was a plethora of people that I've hurt. A plethora of people that I've hated. I needed to forgive. And God, he was teaching me how to forgive. Everything that I stood on before, all my beliefs, oh, if someone slaps you on your cheek, you slap them right back. But God says forgive that person or give mercy to that person, just like he does to us. But me giving my life to Christ doesn't mean that everything was just rainbows and peaches. I still had to go through things. My sophomore year, God had to teach me a hard lesson. My sophomore and junior year. I remember when I first started my sophomore year, when I first started at my new school, I thought that everybody was finally going to like me because I found God. I thought my life was going to be perfect from now on. Man, I was wrong. And God humbled me. He put me through the season of isolation. He isolated me from others to make me hear him and make me realize that the only person that I need is him. At first, I was wondering, why is God doing this to me? Out of that confusion and me not trusting in him, I lost him. I lost the only thing that was good to me. I lost him. And then when I lost him, I lost myself. And guess what? The emptiness came back. That hole that I was trying to fill, that got filled that summer, it opened right up again because I lost God. That whole school year, I felt so lonely. I was not making any friends at all. I had barely any friends. And on top of that, I got bullied again. And I was questioning my self-worth again. Not to the extreme that those girls did, but I got bullied again. It seemed that every year something would happen with someone taunting me or bullying me. And then I was back to wanting to take my life. I was resorting to lust again. I said that day I was going to break it. But I just went back to it because I felt like, again, I was back into a corner. But then, at the ending of sophomore year, I remember I was sitting in bed and I was scrolling through TikTok, and this video came, and it was a sign from God, and it was talking about the season of isolation. And I watched the video, and it was exactly what I was going through, my exact situation. And it hit me. God was doing this so I can hear his voice, so I can know that I only need him. So at the ending of sophomore year, summer 2024, I got right back with God. And it was a really good summer of self-improvement. But then junior year, I lost him again. You want to know why? Because I got distracted. I got distracted by the world around me with all the things, people, and desires and all that stuff. I got distracted and I lost him and I felt empty again. And I was craving connection again. I felt like no one understood me, but God is the only one that did. But I lost the only being that was good to me again. And it became the cycle of me losing God, gaining God, losing God, empty, gaining God, happy, losing God, empty, gaining God, happy, over and over and over and over again. And I'm like, why do I keep getting this emptiness back? But then there was this big event that happened in junior year that made me learn the hard way. The dangers of distractions. God, he puts us through these situations to get us to realize that these desires or feeding your flesh isn't good for you. It's not. It only destroys you and it only destroys your heart. So then after that hard lesson, I finally decided that I was going to give my full entire life to him. I was going to put all my eggs in God's basket and go full in. Be a devout Christian. And that is what brought me here today. At 18 years old, as a senior in high school, I'm in the season of blessings. I've had blessings upon blessings upon blessings. I've waited for so long, but God finally put the right people in my life, the right things in my life, and now I am sharing my story with you guys. I am writing a book now. I never thought in a million years that I would be sitting at a camera and telling people about my story. I never thought. I was so ashamed. But God gave me the strength. He took away the shame and the guilt, and he replaced it with love and peace. That is why it could be a little bit hard saying my story to you guys, but I can say it. Before I couldn't even say it. So I just want you guys to know, whatever you guys are going through, whatever you're going through, if your situation looks uncertain, I want you to put your trust in God. No matter how hard it may be, he will get you out. He got me out. I waited for so long for just blessings, and he is blessing me abundantly in this season. I cannot wait what else he has to come. I'm not saying I don't go through things. I still go through things. I still have trauma. I have trauma from junior year. I have trauma from my past. It took a while for me to forgive myself, but God has been through it all with me. He's been through the thick and thin, and I could not ask for more. I love God, and you should too. He loves you so much, and he's waiting for you. If you have not yet called on him, call on him, and he will answer. He's not just this man in the sky. He's not just a religion. If you're watching this video and you have church hurt, you think that Christians are, or the Christianity is just this horrible thing. They're judgmental. I'm so sorry you went through that. And I'm so sorry if I ever misrepresented Christ to anyone. But that is not God. God is loving. In my story, I wanted you to see how broken I was. And how God, he met me where I was. I didn't have to clean up and then come to him. He came to me. All the times I treated him horribly, he still came to me with love and comfort. No matter who you are, or what you look like, or what your circumstance is, or how broken you are, I want you to know that God loves the broken, the messiest of people. He doesn't care who you are. He made you in his image, and he wants to love you. He wants you to receive his love and accept him. He didn't force me to do this video. He didn't force me to follow him. He didn't force me to do any of that. I have free will. We have free will. We can choose to live our lives recklessly. It's not going to fulfill us. It's not going to be the best. But we can choose to go to a club or party all day and party all night. We can choose to have hookups with people. We can choose to live our life in pornography. We can choose to live our life in drugs. We can choose to people please. We can choose to try to get accepted by people, but it's not going to fulfill you. You saw all that work I put in to try to get people to like me, and still I didn't get the results I wanted. God, he loved me for me. I did not have to clean up. He came to me as is. And that is why I love him. He loves you, and he's calling you. If you have not yet called on him, call on him. He's not judging you. Don't be ashamed. Shame comes from the devil. It's a deceiving trick. You are forgiven and you are loved. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. I hope this video helped someone. Seeing my story, I hope that you related to my story. And I just want you to just find hope and comfort that God will get you out. I never thought I would find God, ever. Even people that I used to know, they would not believe the person that I am today. That's the power of God. He changes your desires and he transforms your heart. If you let him, you gotta let him first. Let go and let God. If this video encouraged you, I suggest you share it with a friend. Share it with someone who is lost, who doesn't know what's next, who's living in a season of uncertainty, or maybe hasn't even found God yet. Send this video to them. Share what you know about Jesus. God, he appreciates anyone who shares his love. That's what he calls us to do. And that is why I made this channel, to share his love. On this channel, I'll be covering a whole bunch of things. And you guys can be here along for the ride, you know? I'm getting older. Getting into college, I'm becoming adult, a full adult. It's scary to think about that, but it will be good with God. I don't care what God has for me. I'm ready. I am so ready because everything that He does or He sends me is good. I trust in Him. And you should trust in Him, brother. You should trust in Him, sister. It's gonna be a little hard at first, especially when you got trust issues like I had, but it gets easier if you just keep trusting Him and trusting Him and trusting Him. I love you guys and thank you for watching till the end. May God bless you.